right, let us wait for some people to hop on in. I always think it's so interesting to see the beginning of the live as people just slowly start to join, and you see the numbers, it starts with one person watching, 2-person watching, and then it'll just kind of go up and up. Of course, I don't get the kinds of crazy numbers like Carrie and Christine get with the Monday Night Live, so of course they are the stars of the show. We know this here, and everybody loves Monday Night Lives because it's basically just hanging out with them. So of course that's always where everybody is. But it's still kind of fun to see as you start the live and the notifications go out, and then slowly people will trickle in. Sometimes we'll trickle out, trickle back in again. It's really fun. Good morning, Jessica. Hello. Happy Tuesday. Hello, hello. Good morning. Hi, Lindsay. Hello. Good morning. I was even a minute early today. Everybody's either away sick or out of here, so I decided to come in 5 minutes earlier than I normally would, just to make sure I had everything set up and everything, and make sure the rack was organized in the order that I like it. And then it took a little bit less time than I thought it would. So then I was well, maybe I'll just start early, and then I looked and it was 10:58 anyway, so I'm honestly, it's not even that early, so I'm just gonna start. And then by the time I actually hit the start button, it was 11:59 or 10:59, so I'm well, I'm basically just on time, so that works for me. And speaking of, I've been live for about 2 minutes now, so I think now is just as good a time as any to get started. We have a really packed Tuesday daily drop today for Plus, and then the rest of the week is a little bit slimmer, but today's drop is huge, and it has all the pieces, and then it's a little bit more scattered throughout the rest of the week. So we'll really spend a lot of time on Tuesday today, just today, and then we'll go from there. So good morning, everybody. My name is Michelle. I am the 3X model here at Lavender and Lace Boutique. I typically wear a size 3X in top and bottoms. I typically wear an 18W and then a 2X now recently in Judy Blue shorts. On the bottoms, in terms of numerical sizing, in other brands, I'm usually a 20-ish, sometimes a 22, sometimes even an 18, depending on what the item is, what the brand is, etc. And then for height reference, I am 6'1". I'm very tall, and I'm proportionately tall in torso and leg. I'm not just all leg or all torso. So I do talk about length and stuff as it applies when that comes up. 2 questions about the cardigan. Is it a true white or is it an off-white? And are the sleeves super stretchy? So this one is almost true white, if that makes sense. I think it is a little bit more on the sheer side when I get up close. So it's gonna pull whatever, you can really see my hair underneath of it. So I would say it is a almost true white. It's not a pure crisp printer paper white, but it's very close. I would describe it as white as opposed to a bone or a cream or an ivory or something like that. But because it is on the more sheer side, it is going to pull through the color of whatever you're wearing underneath of it. So for here, you can see, it is pulling a little bit more warm pinkish because I've layered it over this pinky blush color. And if you were to wear it with something yellow, it is going to pull a little bit more cream yellow, whereas if you paired it with something black, it's going to pull maybe a little bit gray. So I would say it is true white. I wouldn't describe it as ivory or cream or bone or ecru or anything like that. I would say that it is white. And then in terms of stretchiness in the sleeves, yes, the sleeves, I do have bigger upper arms. I have the bat wings, as we love to call them, but you can see there's still a ton of stretch. So even though the sleeves are a tighter fitting sleeve in terms of being close to the skin, they're not tight by any means. There is a ton of stretch. As you can see, lots of wiggle room, so they're not tight whatsoever. And again, I do have bigger upper arms, and it is not a problem. So I hope that addresses your questions. I love that it was right off the hop, you had questions ready to go, and I was definitely ready to answer. And since we've already talked about it, we might as well just go over the details for the cardigan here. So this is the O Snap cardigan in, again, it's described as off-white, but I do think that the color, if I get up close and show the cuff, I do think it does pull really true white. I think the reason that we describe it as off-white, again, is because it is more of this sheer, outside of the cuff and the buttons, like the bottom kind of hip trim and the cuff on the sleeve, it is quite white. Like it's, again, not like crisp printer paper white, but it is more white than off-white in my opinion, but because it is sheer, it's gonna pull whatever color. But we do describe it as off-white, and like I said, I'm pretty sure that's why. This one's retailing for $37, which is a great price point for a cardigan like this. And we have it available in sizes small through 3X, and this one has both an extra large and a 1X available in the kind of mid-size range. Oh, I'm so glad that was helpful, Lindsay. You were just, I love that you were like, bang, right off the bat, like question 1, question 2, let's go. Amazing. Yeah, so this one's $37, which is an awesome price point. I am wearing my typical 3X for this one. Melissa opts for the 1X as opposed to the extra large for this one. Christina's in the small, Carrie is in the medium. We do describe this one as true to size. Personally, I would say I would recommend if you're between sizes, I would probably size up just because it is a little bit more of a slim fit cardigan, like for me in the 3X. I'm not going to do up all the buttons just because there are a lot and we'll be here forever, but I'll just do up like, hopefully I at least get matching ones just so we can kind of get the idea. And for the 3X for myself, like definitely like very easy to button up. And it fits and it's not snug by any means, but I think if I, and of course it looks like the buttons are pulling because I only did like 4 of them, but I can button this up and it looks very good, very natural, but it still sits like close to the body. It is still a slimmer fit. I think if I were to try sizing down to a 2X, I do think you'd get kind of that pulling effect on the buttons a little bit, whereas here in the 3X, if I actually hold them like this, because there is no pulling, but it is still more of a sleek, slimmer fit as opposed to like a chunky, oversized fit. Especially if you have a bigger chest, I could see these buttons potentially pulling if you were to kind of be in between sizes. So I would recommend sizing up unless you only plan on wearing it open, in which case you could really go either way. But we do describe it as true to size, and I would definitely agree with that. And as I half demonstrated, because I did like a few buttons, these are all fully functioning snap buttons. So you can just do the top one if you want. I love, because of it being like a more slim fit type cardigan, I love when people just kind of do like the top couple of buttons and then leave the rest open. It reminds me of those tops that were really big in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and like of course Y2K fashion is huge right now, where the kind of covers where they just have the tie, where you just tie them up kind of under the bust and then they float open. That's what this gives me the vibe of. If you just kind of, even 3's too many, I think I'll just do the top 2. I feel like this is a really cool look. It just kind of makes some really like visual interest with the creating like the X shape on the body. You could even drop it a little bit lower and put it a little bit more below the bust and maybe just do this like 4th button here, and it kind of creates that like visual X. I love that there's so many little buttons to play with, and it just gives it something more to look at other than just a couple of chunky buttons. We've got all these fun snaps. And then you could also be very dramatic when you want to take your coat off and just and like rip it open like snap pants. If you have a flair for dramatics, which I do sometimes. If you couldn't tell, I mean, I come and talk to people about clothes and look at myself on camera for an hour every week. So I feel like you have to be a little bit of a dramatic person to be able to do that. But anyways, this is the O Snap cardigan in off-white. Again, this one is retailing for $37, sizes small through 3X, and that includes both an extra large and a 1X. I am wearing my typical 3X, and I would say true to size, and if you're between sizes, I would suggest sizing up if you plan to fully button it, but you could totally get away with it either way, especially if you are just going to wear it like open, and lots of stretch. The arms, even though they are like more slim fitted looking, they are not tight whatsoever. I could have much bigger biceps than I do and I would still be totally fine. I could be full on Popeye in this and I would be totally good to go. So that is the cardigan. We'll move on to the top next. I'm just going to go pop the cardigan back on the rack so that we can see what's underneath. It is very cold up here this morning, so I am already mourning the loss of having a cardigan on right now. That's okay. I'm sure by the time I change outfits 2 or 3 more times, I will be more than warmed up. Okay, so this one is the Golden Dream Baby Doll Tank in Coral. We had the yellow one launch last week and I was obsessed with it, and a lot of you guys really liked it too, especially everyone was like, oh, that looks so cute on you, and I really appreciated it. So we do have this one launching in another colorway in coral today. This one's retailing for $36, and this one we have available in sizes small through 3X, and the medium size is a 1X for this one. True to size on this one, everyone wears their typical size. So Christine is in the small, Carrie's in the medium, Melissa wears the 1X, and I am in my usual 3X. This one is a poly cotton blend. It is 50% poly, 37% cotton, 13% rayon, so over a third cotton, a pretty substantial amount. And you could definitely feel that there is natural fiber in this fabric as well. It is just a little bit more lightweight and breathable feeling than a typical like poly spandex or poly rayon blend. And it has that fun kind of heathered effect going on in the pink texture here, which is gorgeous. I don't have a ton more to say about this one just because we did try it on last week as well. It is just your kind of like typical baby doll cut. It has nice thicker tank straps up here and a rounded kind of almost scoop neck, but I would just consider it like a rounded neckline. Just under the bust is where we have the first layer for the baby doll effect, and it's a little bit, it's not completely straight across, it is in the back, and then in the front it comes up just a little bit under the bust, just so it's not like cutting you so directly in half. Of course, this effect will be different depending on how busty you are, how it hangs off the chest, but there is just a little bit of that effect of it not just being straight across, it kind of comes up a little bit. I am smaller chested, especially for someone who wears a 3X, so it's probably going to look even more like rounded and flattering on someone who does have a little bit of a bigger chest than I do. And then we have the second layer of ruff here that goes around kind of where my natural hips are, and it just creates this really pretty flowy silhouette. This one is great for twirling. It passes the twirl check, which is also fantastic. The gray one was also gorgeous, definitely. I'm glad that you got that, Jessica. These would be great for Easter just because the colorways are awesome, and it's always nice. I feel like the number one reason to have a baby doll in your closet is that they're the best for looking really pretty and feminine, but also like if you're going to like an Easter dinner or something, or Christmas or something, when you're going to eat a lot of food, you can hide your little food bloat baby, your nice bloated food hangover tummy with a baby doll, and no one will be any the wiser, which is amazing. So again, I'll go from the back one more time so you can see that it is just kind of like classic tank style in the back. Again, this is the Golden Dream Baby Doll Tank in Coral. This one's retailing for $36, sizes small through 3X, and we all wear our typical sizes in this one, which includes myself in my usual 3X. And then we have the jeans. I will do my best to kind of like tuck up the top. Baby dolls are hard. I can try it. I think I did this last week too, where I was like, I'll try to tie it in a knot so we can look at the jeans, and it was pretty awkward, but I will see if I can do what I can. So because there's a lot of fabric, but it's not just like a plain t-shirt, there's all the ruffs and stuff, so trying to like tie it in a knot is, yeah, that's not going so well. I might just kind of like, there we go, just ignore everything that's happening up here and just focus on the jeans. So these are the jeans that, if you follow the Insiders group, Carrie posted, I feel like it was about a week and a half ago, it was not this past weekend, but the weekend before, that this is the first time in a long time that Carrie's actually taken a pair of jeans home before they went live. She tried these on and was absolutely obsessed with them, and they look incredible on her too, so I get why. So these are the Judy Blue High Rise Crisscross Destroyed Straights, aka the Coens, and these are considered long jeans as well. These ones are retailing for $103, and they are available in the full Judy size range of 0 through 15, and then 14W through 24W. I am wearing my typical 18 in these, but I will say that the waist on these ones, because they are the Rigid Magic, which is the rigid front, stretchy back, I do find that this one was kind of a close call because they're high-waisted and because of where they sit on me. Yeah, this top is just not doing it. I might just like kind of hold it up here. But because of where they sit on me specifically, I am in the 18. Now that I've settled into them, they're a bit better than they were, but they felt a little bit snug in the waist when I first put them on, but I have settled into them a little bit, which I think is helping. These are meant, they're described as a dad jean, so they are meant to be that really like loose, baggy, like lots of room in the hips, just very like straight cut, which they definitely are. They're like in between a straight cut and a wide cut, if that makes sense, but it is like as a dad jean, like it definitely makes sense. And then the best part of these jeans, in my opinion, is this really cool crisscross front where they have this this angled zipper, and then there is I didn't do it up just for time's sake, but there is another button on the inside that you can do just to make sure that this isn't going to go like crazy and astray throughout the day, like to make sure it's actually going to sit where it needs to sit. But again, just because I have to take them off very shortly after I put them on, I just left it undone. And if you wanted to, just to have a little bit less structure, so as you like move around and stuff, you could totally leave this unbuttoned, and I don't think it's going to fly around too much. You might see like the corner of this piece, like you can kind of see it here, but it's not, I don't think it's going to go like woo crazy and start like flying away too much if you were to leave that unbuttoned. So totally an option for you. As you can see with these ones, there is also quite a bit of distressing in terms of physical distressing and just in the wash. It does have this like not quite acid wash, but there is definitely like a very distressed wash. There's lots of whiskering here on the front pockets and thighs, and it almost has this like grainy texture. It's hard for me to get like close enough. If I show off the booty, maybe you can see there's almost like this grainy textured effect. It definitely looks like older denim, if that makes sense, again giving like vintage dad jean. And we can see that it's got like the darker indigo in some of the corners and stuff, so lots of that like wear and tear look with the wash itself. And then we do have physical distressing. We have a bit up on the pocket and the waistband here on this pocket. Definitely not anything happening with the knee here, totally not already distressed. Of course I'm kidding. It does have this really interesting, like it's a very like straight rip, and it makes this kind of like flap effect, which I think is really cute actually. And then it is more of like the classic like frayed horizontal rip, and then this vertical rip to kind of give it this cool effect on the knee here. And then if I turn around to the back, less physical distressing here. There's just like a little bit on the corners of the pockets. The bottoms of the jeans are not physically distressed, which them being long jeans I think was a good choice, just because you're going to maintain the integrity of that length, and they're not going to get all like shredded and crazy on the bottom if you wear them, if they end up being a little bit long for you, or if you wanted to have them hemmed because they are a finished hem. I feel like it is going to be a little bit easier for you to do so. So that is these jeans. Again, these are the Coens. They are long. I would say, I don't have the inseam, but I would say they're probably like a 30, 31 and a half, 32 maybe, because they're like almost long enough for me, but not quite. And I have like a 35 to 36 inch inseam. I have very long legs, so that is a me thing. But anyways, again, these are the Judy Blue High Rise Crisscross Destroyed Straights. These are a dad cut jean. The Coens, $103. They come in the full Judy size range and for sizing. I believe, yes, everyone wore their typical size. So Christine in the 3, Carrie's in the 9, Melissa took the 14, and I took my 18 for these ones. These ones are really unique and really fun. These are probably one of the like most trend forward jeans I've seen in a while, and they're really cute. I get why Carrie was so obsessed. All right, we still have 3 other tops to get through for the daily drops. So I'm gonna change into another one and keep on motoring because it's been almost 20 minutes and I've only gone through 3 pieces, but I mean, that is why I am here, and we got some really awesome questions right off the bat, so that's great. Okay. And like I mentioned at the start of my live, the majority of this week's plus size pieces are contained in today's launch, so it will be quicker to go through once we get through the Tuesday stuff, just because there is less throughout the week. Okay, so here we have the next piece. This guy is so this is Love Hooded Tee in the shade Cream and Black. This one's retailing for $49, sizes small through 3X, with the mid-size being a 1X for this one. Everyone took their true size for this one, except Carrie opted to size down because this one is kind of like an oversized effect. So Carrie and Christine both opted for the small in this one. Melissa opted for the 1X, and I'm in my typical 3X for this one because I do like the really oversized effect that it is giving. The material on this one is really interesting because it's ribbed, but it's not just like a classic straight rib. It's kind of this like wrinkly texture. It's hard to describe. It has two-way stretch. It's almost like it's ribbed in both directions, but not quite, because it's definitely more like predominantly a vertical rib, but there is a little bit of like this extra crinkle texture going on that almost makes it look like it's ribbed in both directions, which is interesting. So it is described as like a hooded tee. It definitely gives like t-shirt with the t-shirt sleeve length, obviously, but for me, I would describe it more as a hoodie with t-shirt sleeves as opposed to a t-shirt with a hood, but it really could go either way. In terms of the weight of the material, it's definitely more like t-shirt weight material for sure. It is really stretchy. It has that really loose, comfy vibe. This would be an amazing beach cover up. This definitely gives me like beach cozy, like hippie, wear it with short shorts and sandals kind of vibes for sure. I'll turn around and I'll move my hair out of the way so that we can see the hood itself here. It is a large, very like slouchy, unstructured hood on the tee here. And then we also have these buttons on the top, and these are fully functional buttons. So if you wanted to use it as a beach cover up, you could definitely undo all of the buttons, and it's going to give just a little bit more, especially if you have like a high-necked bathing suit, you can have like a little peak of color or something like that. And it does have this entire square here is technically pocket, and then it has the two side openings, so it has like a massive kangaroo pocket. The only thing is I kind of wish that they put the pocket like hand holes a little bit higher, because I do feel like if you put like, there's all this room, but because of how slouchy and they're lower, I feel like stuff might fall out. But just to be able to like put your hands in, and like there's so much room for activities in here, which is fantastic. I don't know if anyone's, oh yeah, I can definitely open a couple more buttons. It opens the collar up there. So there's two buttons undone. And I mean, you really could go all the way to the bottom. I don't have enough chest to really show anything off if I did, but for me, if I would probably wear something like a higher necked, like Brahmi or something underneath, and then you get like a fun little pop of color there. Yeah, which at first I honestly thought that these were just going to be buttons for show, so I was really happy that they actually are fully functioning buttons, because it does give you a few more options for wearing this. My preference for the most part honestly would probably be to just be wearing it buttoned up, but either way, I do love that it has the option. The sleeves are also very roomy. It is kind of like a dolman type sleeve, so it has that very like square cut, so it is very comfy, cozy, lots of room in the sleeves, lots of room in my shoulders. So again, this one is the, so this is Love Hooded Tee in cream and black. $49 for this one, sizes small through 3X. We did take our typical sizes, but Carrie did opt to size down to the small because it is definitely very oversized. I really liked the oversized vibe, so I decided to stick with my 3X for this one. Okay, we have two tops left. The next one is another striped top. It's the t-shirt that I leaked in my, I gave a sneak peek of this one for like half my live last week because I didn't have just like a nice normal t-shirt to show off all the jeans. And I had a lot of questions about this one, and I specifically chose it because I was like, this is a gorgeous striped t-shirt. And I think a lot of people are going to be interested, and everyone's like, well, when does that launch? And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know, because it's a sneak peek and I just know that it's coming probably sometime next week, and it turns out that it is today, which I'm very excited about because I know a lot of people were interested in it, myself included. Oh, this is one of those t-shirts that just has that super like buttery soft texture to it. Oh, I love this one. And the other thing I'll say, considering that this shirt spent like 20 minutes of my live last week being knotted around my waist, and I don't think it was steamed or anything since. I mean, maybe the girls came in and like stealth steamed it, but I don't think they did. So this is a pretty like wrinkle resistant fabric. If I had it tied up in a knot and now it's just been hanging on the hanger for a week and it doesn't even look like wrinkled or anything, that's pretty cool. So this is the Sawyer striped top in black. This one is going to be retailing for $36, and it is available in sizes small through 3X, with the mid-size being a 1X large on this one. This one, everyone wears their typical size, so as usual, Christine in the small, Carrie's in the medium, Melissa took the 1X for this one, and then I'm in my usual 3X, which I would say is very true to size. This top is really long for a t-shirt, so at first I was like, maybe I should size down, but I don't think that would be beneficial to me. I think it's just meant to be a longer top. Like this is almost tunic length on me. As we can see, if I turn around, I'm actually getting full butt coverage out of this one, which is amazing. Not quite t-shirt dress length, but if you're like Christine's height, then you probably could wear this as like t-shirt dress length. But for me, it's more of a tunic length. And then it does have a pretty dramatic scoop on the side. As we can see, it is quite a bit longer in the back and then up here, and then it is slightly shorter in the front than the back, not super dramatically, maybe by like an inch or so. But yeah, lots of really awesome length on this one, and it's kind of like an A-line shape almost, like it fits really nicely around the bust, and then it just kind of like gently flows out. So between that and having the horizontal stripes, it's just visually very stunning and very slimming, and it just looks gorgeous. I love the cut of this t-shirt. The sleeves are like a nice average t-shirt sleeve length, maybe slightly on the longer side for a t-shirt sleeve length. And then we do have this kind of v-neck. It's not super deep, but it is a little bit of a deeper v-neck. And then I do like that they did take the time to make sure that the stripe was aligned so that it does match the cut of the neckline, which I think is just a really nice detail that just makes the shirt look a little bit more polished. So fairly basic t-shirt with a few not so basic features, like the lining up on the neckline and just how gorgeous the length is on this one, being kind of like an extra length type t-shirt without being oversized or baggy. I would still say it's true to size because it is definitely more of like a typical fitted t-shirt kind of in the top, and then it kind of gently flows out and down from there. So again, sizing wise, everyone took their typical size in this one, and we do describe it as being true to size. So again, this is the Sawyer striped top in black. I'll do one more back view here. This one's retailing for $36, sizes small through 3X. I'm in my typical 3X for this guy. And finally, we are on to the last top of the day, the Under the Sea tee in black. So this is an oversized tee, and I did actually try both the 2X and the 3X for this one, and I can do both. I slightly prefer the 2X, so I'm going to put on the 2X, and then if we want to see the 3X, I can show that to you as well. For this one, is it later that we have the blue one coming out? Yes. Okay, because I knew there was one where I didn't have the option, and I didn't think we had launched it yet. So there is a blue version coming at some point in the future, and in that one, for the website photos, I am pictured in the 3X, but for the black one that is launching today, I am pictured in the 2X on the store website, and that is what I will put on for you now. Just double checking. Yes, okay. Watch me say, I'm wearing the 2X, and then I double check afterwards and I actually was wearing the 3X. Oopsies. But no, I have confirmed that this one is the 2X. All right, so here she is. Again, this one is the Under the Sea tee in, I think I called it a tank earlier. It is a tee, not a tank, very clearly. This is the Under the Sea tee in black. This one's $39. Size is small through 3X for this one. This one definitely has a very oversized fit. And it seems like I'm not the only one that was kind of between sizes because the way we describe it is that it fits intentionally oversized. It is possible to size down. So Christine wears the small, Carrie can wear the small or the medium. So like me, she tried on her true size and one down and is cool with both of them. That's exactly how I felt. Melissa opted for the 1X, and then I am wearing the 2X currently. I also have tried the 3X. I like both. I have a slight preference for the 2X that I'm wearing here, but both look really cute. They both still have that kind of intended oversized fit. I find that when I size down to the 2X, it still gives that fun kind of slouch and slink that it's supposed to. The 3X I found was maybe just a little bit longer. It didn't have the same kind of, I really like where this one hit in terms of like the end kind of being right at my natural hip here, whereas the 3X was just a little bit longer and the sleeves were just a little bit slouchier, and I found I had a little bit too much like sleeve dangle on the side here. But really they're still quite comparable between the 2X and 3X, and I was totally comfortable in both of them. So the fabric is a rayon spandex blend, and it is a rib knit, and it is exactly the kind of rib knit that you would expect, the typical smaller kind of spacing and pattern for the ribbed. It is nice and stretchy. It's not as compressive as some rib knits, and I think a part of that is also just because it is on a more like relaxed cut piece. If the same fabric was used on like a tight tank, I think it would feel a little bit more compressive, a little bit more hold you in, but because this is a very generous flowy cut, the fabric has no reason to be like stretched and then compress over you. It's just naturally kind of compressed as it would be. And because of that, it has a really nice flow and movement, but because it has still a little bit more structure, I feel like it's not super slouchy because of how like oversized cut this is. I think that the extra little bit of structure from the ribs helps it hold its shape a bit better instead of just being like a piece of fabric that hangs, if that makes sense. We can see it's got this interesting little tuck on the sleeve so that it has a little bit of a rolled sleeve effect at the top, but it is not pinned on the bottom, so it does just kind of like fall down. So it does have a little bit of an interesting flow with the sleeve. You could also, it's only just a single stitch kind of tucking that up, so if you wanted to just let it go all the way, you could totally just take a seam ripper or even some scissors and you could definitely untuck that stitch very easily. And then if we go to the back, we can see that the length on me is like a pretty typical t-shirt length, and I really liked that again with the 2X, that it kind of fell just below my, not just below my natural wrist, but kind of like right at my hip where they sit here. Whereas with the 3X, it sat just kind of below my natural hip bone, and I preferred the length of the 2X on me personally. So again, this is the Under the Sea tee in black. This one is retailing for $39 and it comes in sizes small through 3X. Most of us took our typical size, but you can definitely size down one and it'll still have that fun slouchy effect. I could wear the 2X or the 3X, both very well. I have a slight preference for the 2X, but both were still really cute for me. And again, on the website for the black, I am pictured wearing the 2X, and then there's a blue one that's going to be launching later, and that one I was pictured wearing the 3X. All right, that was everything for today's daily drops. We have like half my live is just for Tuesday, but I mean, that's just kind of how the week is set up. So again, everything that I've tried on so far, which is so this is Love Hooded Tee, the Golden Dream Baby Doll Tank in coral, the Sawyer Stripe top in black, the Under the Sea tee in black, the Oh Snap cardigan in off-white, and then these jeans, which are the Cohen Dad jeans. All of that is going to be launching today at 1 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, so in about an hour and a half. Everything that I've tried on so far will be going live. All right, and with that, we can move on to our PM launch. So we do have a launch happening tonight at 8 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. We have the Shirley Haley joggers. These are a beloved staple here at Lavender and Lace. Even just since I've been here for a little over 2 years, I think we've brought these back at least 4 times, and there's always demand for them. People keep asking for them, so Shirley keeps putting them out. So we do have some available. I think we might have had a pre-order open for these previously. I don't remember. I am really bad for keeping track of what we do and don't have pre-orders for. But we do have some coming into stock tonight in 3 colors. We have dark gray, black, and navy. I have, I think, all 3 of the colors. So I'm going to go pop one on, and then I will be right back over. I think I will opt for the light gray ones because that way we'll be able to see the details and whatnot the most clearly on that one. What sizes do I have? 2 sizes for each. I'm assuming a 2X and a 3X. This is 3X. Sometimes we have 4X's and stuff, which is why I'm curious. Okay, a 2X and 3X. I'm pretty sure I still prefer my, even though there's some things that I have been sizing down in lately to 2X, notably due to blue shorts. I've been preferring the 2X lately, whereas I used to wear a 3X. I believe in the Haley joggers, I still prefer my 3X. As I'm putting them on, that is definitely still the case. I am glad I wore the more kind of cropped version of this top because I can show them off a little bit better. I'll just kind of like pull it up a little bit and then we can see. So here we are. These are the dark gray of the Haley joggers from Shirley. These ones are super cute. They're so comfy. They have this kind of ribbed waistband effect here. It's ribbed on the sides, and then you can kind of play with the scrunch and get it to rib along the front here. And then there is an elastic right at the very top of here. It is a pretty gentle elastic. Honestly, I think it's just kind of there for making sure it doesn't roll, but the actual like waistband, like there's enough structure in this piece that's what is doing the majority of like holding up the pants. And then we do have these pockets here. You can't quite see them from the outside, but they are kind of like a square cut pocket on the inside. They're not the deepest pockets in the world, but they are enough that you could put, you know, a smaller phone, some keys, something, and they are going to be nice and stable. These ones are a little bit short on me. That's another reason why I definitely wouldn't be sizing down to the 2X just yet. I do need the extra little bit of length. They are still more like a capri on me, but that is just my lot in life, being as tall as I am. They do have this, the cuff at the bottom, which I like because they're a little bit shorter, because I have my black pair at home and I style them with my Doc Marten boots, so like an ankle boot, and it cuts so that it's just at the top of the ankle boot, and I think that looks really cute that way. A lot of people wouldn't think to style a jogger with a Doc Marten, but that's just who I am. And then I'll rotate to the back and we can see, I really love the width of the waistband because I have I have a lot of definition in my booty at the bottom, but not in the top. So I really like where the waistband starts because it kind of helps like separate the top of my butt from the rest of my back, if that makes sense. Probably not. Maybe it does visually. That's not a universal problem. That's definitely just a me thing. But I do like how the waistband kind of starts a little bit lower because I do think it accentuates the booty very nicely. These are definitely more of a fitted jogger, but they're definitely not like legging fitted at all. And then the material is very, I think it's the same kind of material as like the Shirley pajamas. It's that same soft, lightweight, kind of like brushed feeling jersey knit, if that makes sense. These are super comfy. So I have the dark grays on. I'll just grab the other two colors so that I can show what else we have coming. Pretty basic colors for this time. We have launched more like seasonal colors in the past, especially in fall. We've had like burgundy and olive, but for currently we have the light gray, or sorry, the dark gray, not light gray, that I'm wearing. And then we have the navy that is launching and the black, which is black, which I would hope would be pretty straightforward. And then, I guess I should say the price and the sizes, shouldn't I? So these ones are going to be retailing for $49, and they are available in sizes extra small up to 4X, which is an incredible size range. So despite sizing down in some things, I would still definitely say the 3X is my preferred size for the Hailey joggers. I have maybe a little bit of extra room and stuff here, but just for the length and just like room in the legs, I definitely would stick with my 3X. And then Christine wears the extra small, carries in the small, and Melissa opts for the extra large in these guys. Because it is an extra large, not a 1X. And this one, it goes extra large, then 2X. So fairly true to size, but Christine and Carrie both kind of size down a little bit in these. I almost could. I also think too, just because with the way that my stomach is shaped, if I were to size down to the 2X, they would definitely fit, but I think it would probably just cling a little bit closer to my like B-belly area than I'd be comfortable with. So I would prefer to stay with my 3X just to kind of help hide this a little bit more, just because I am a very confident person in my body, but everyone has their insecurities, and my kind of like belly button and like this area here is definitely something that I'm a little bit more insecure about. So I would just kind of keep my bigger size to help camouflage that a little bit. And that's totally valid. If you have, you know, if you're true size, or like you can technically fit something that's a smaller size, but you prefer the bigger size just because you feel more comfortable in it, do you. As long as you're comfortable, that is all that matters. Nobody is ever going to see the sticker of the size of your pants or your shirts other than you when you're doing the laundry, or if there's someone else in your house that does your laundry. A, good for you. B, they probably don't care anyways. So just buy whatever makes you feel good. So again, these are the Shirley Hailey joggers. We have navy, black, and dark gray launching. Sizes extra small to 4X, and $49 for those. So those are going to be launching tonight at 8 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. All right. I don't believe I have anything for the Wednesday daily drop. AM. Yes, so nothing for the Wednesday daily drop, but I do have one piece from the Wednesday night Dex drop. We have a dress that is going to be coming in the full Dex size range, so I will go put that one on and be right back. All right. was very confused for a second because I was looking for the hanger for the jeans I had on previously because I just kind of left them on the floor for a bit until I did like a full outfit change. I was like, wait, no, that's the hanger for the joggers. Where's the one for the jeans? But they were both there. My brain only chose to see one of them instead of two, but we did find it. We were good. All right. I would also love to hear in the comments if we have anyone in the live right now that's watching, if you have a pair of Hailey joggers, because I know a lot of us do, how have you found that yours have held up over lots of washing and wearing? Because that's one of my favorite things about anything that I've bought from Shirley is that the material has held up so well. And because this is the same kind of material as the pajamas, I have found that like my pajamas especially, because I find with my Hailey joggers I'll go through phases where I wear them to filth and just wear them over and over and over again, and then I'll wash them and put them away and kind of forget they exist for a little while and I won't come back to them for a few months. But with my pajamas, classic Michelle fashion, I bought a pair of the Halloween ones, not even this most recent Halloween, it was Halloween of 2023. And I wear them all the time because I do in fact wear Halloween things year round. Carrie has mentioned it many times when she's come in and I'm wearing like my candy corn shirt from Ampersand in March, and she's like, oh my god, I love that you actually wear that all year round. But I wear those all the time, at least twice a week, and they are still in great shape despite being worn constantly. So I'm curious if others have found that their Hailey joggers are the same, because again, mine still look great, but I also don't wear them as much as I do my pajamas. But considering they're very similar fabrics, if not the same fabric, my pajamas should speak for themselves. Thank you, Reen. I appreciate that. After doing this for a couple of years, I like to think that I'm fairly well practiced at this point. All right, so let's move on to this Dex dress. I will note I'm a little bit here, but just it's a little dry in here. It's a little staticky, and the hem of the dress is trying to like stick up. So hopefully we don't have anything happen. I use the term dress liberally for myself. This one is definitely one that I would pair with leggings personally, because this one is definitely more tunic length on myself. But again, I'm very tall. I'm 6'1", and I'm proportionately long in torso and leg. So it may not be the case for everyone who's tall, but this one is definitely a little bit on the shorter side, and my preference would be at minimum to wear shorts under it, but realistically I would probably pair this with leggings for myself. But then when I see it on Christine and Carrie, it is definitely more dress length, if that makes sense. So this is the Dana pleated dress in neutral paisley. This one is from Dex, of course. So this one's gonna be launching on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And this one is available in the full Dex size range from extra small up to 2X. And so the like the regular size range is extra small to extra large. And then in plus we have X, 1X, and 2X. So everyone takes their typical Dex size. So Christine is in the extra small, Carrie is in the medium. Melissa opted for the X for this one as opposed to the 1X. And then I am in the 2X because that is the largest size that Dex makes. So I'm just gonna step off camera for 2 seconds. I got a frog in my throat. Here we go. I'm usually pretty good for remembering to fill up my water cup before I start my live, but I did not remember to do that today, and I have been yapping for 45 minutes straight, so my throat's kind of like, hello, woman, please hydrate. But I'll be fine, because like I said, most of the stuff we've already tried on is less kind of staggered throughout the rest of the week, so we should be able to get through the rest fairly quickly. So this guy, like I said, is going to be retailing for $95, and the material on this one is polyester, and then I believe it's a poly rayon blend. There is a lining on the dress. I'm just going to show off a little bit here. This is where the static issue I'm having is that the top kind of chiffon layer is trying to stick to the lining, but we do have a full lining for this dress, which is good because it does have that chiffon layer. And then if we get up close, I can show off that there is like 2 different sizes of pleats on this dress. The bust and sleeves is this like very fine, crinkly pleat, and you can tell that it's like the same material, just different pleat lengths, because it feels very like dense at the top. Like you can press on it and it's quite like plushy almost, because you can feel like how vertically raised the ribs are. And then just below the bust here, we can see that the pattern shifts and it becomes I think what it is, at first I thought it was just a smaller rib, but I think what it is that the rib just stops. And so you get these kind of bunches just kind of like where the fabric's trying to figure out it wants to go. And then, oh no, maybe there is actually like a full rib to the bottom, but it is definitely a wider like accordion rib. When I do this, I can see more pleats. So very, very fine pleats here, and then it gets to be more of a typical like accordion print down here, just to kind of open up a garment and give it a little bit more flow through the bottom. And we get, interestingly enough, I find that the paisley still translates really well in both sizes. It looks a little bit more condensed on the top, but you can still really read the paisley shape. And then with this, it is the same paisley shape, but you'd think that these ones would look too scrunkled or like they didn't like mesh perfectly, but they still look really good. And you can really see when you stretch it out, you can see the full breadth of that paisley pattern. If I tuck my hair back here, we can see that it does have this V-neck, and then the sleeves have just a little bit of a poof. I was like, oh, that's kind of narrow on the sleeves, but I think it's just, again, because the pleats is trying to like come in on itself. If I pull it there, we can see that the shoulders are in a good spot for me, and there's just a little bit of a puff where the seam happens. And then if I turn around to the back, this is where I'm trying not to like reach too high above my head, because I don't want to have a oopsie in the back, but it does have just kind of your typical cut for the neck in the back. So again, this one a little bit on the shorter side if you were very tall like me. Usually my kind of indicator is this tattoo right here, if I can see all of it. When I'm just standing, that's usually like, ooh, like maybe it's a little short. And as we can see, it's very close, so you can see his face there. So that's probably a sign for me personally that I would pair this one with some shorts or leggings more likely. If I stand to the side, you can see it is a little bit longer in the back than the front, which does help, but definitely a little bit on the shorter side for the length for this one. So again, this one is the Dana pleated dress in neutral paisley. This one's retailing for $95, sizes extra small through 2X, and everyone wears their typical Dex size for this one. So that is myself in the 2X, which is the largest size that Dex offers. All right, so that is everything for Wednesday. Again, that one's launching Wednesday at 8 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. I don't remember if I had anything on Thursday. I think I had a couple pieces. Oh, helps if I include the year 2025. Perfect. Oops. So nothing in the, I just put PM instead of AM, so we don't have anything for evening launches on Thursday, at least not yet. But I do have a pair of shorts and a top and a cardigan. Okay, perfect. I have a full outfit to show off for Thursday. So I'm gonna go pop that one on and be right back. Oh, I guess I should specify as well, the dress from Dex, it's under their black tape label, but it's the same thing. It's all Dex. There's a few different kind of like names for other like Dex companies, if that makes sense. And Black Label, I think that's what that, or Black Tape. That's just one of their other kind of like sub brands within Dex, but it is still Dex. Okay. Okay, here is the full outfit. It definitely feels a little bit contradictory to have like a long sleeve top and a cardigan over short shorts, but I'm here for it, and I actually wear long sleeves with shorts all the time. I find that my legs don't get as cold as the rest of my body, so I am definitely very guilty of wearing like short skirts and shorts and stuff in the winter. Very Canadian of me. And part of it too is, like, I've mentioned this many a time, that my legs are my favorite part of my body and I do like showing them off. So I definitely suck up the cold sometimes to show off my legs just because it makes me feel good. So let's start with the cardigan. This is the Be Our Guest knit cardigan in black. This one's retailing for $72 and we have it in sizes small through 3X, and that includes both an extra large and a 1X for this one. In terms of sizing, we describe it as being true to size, maybe a slightly relaxed fit, but kind of as intended with a cardigan like this. So we do describe it as true to size, and everyone is wearing their typical size. So Christine in the small, Carrie's in the medium, Melissa takes the 1X for this one as opposed to the extra large, and then I am in my usual 3X for this one. So I have left it open here, but I can definitely quickly do some buttons up just so we can see how it looks buttoned up. I'm a fan of these buttons as someone who has nails. My nails aren't super long. I did just file mine down a little bit recently because they were getting a bit unwieldy, but my nails aren't super long, but they can get, and I do find I struggle with buttons sometimes, so I appreciate the buttons on this specific cardigan because they are pretty easy to do and undo, which is great. So here it is, all buttoned up. I would probably personally pair this with like a high-waisted jean and something tucked in, just so I don't get the like pieces sticking out the bottom. But as we can see, it's still a very like relaxed fit, but it's not like super oversized. I don't think I would size down in this one just because I think it would be a little bit too, not tight on my hips, but it would sit kind of like flush with my hips. And while it looks, and I kind of prefer the way that it just kind of slightly pulls away, especially when I do this, you can see it's kind of got like that bat wing kind of dolman top effect. And I think if I were to size down, I would lose some of that, and it kind of loses some of the drop shoulder kind of slouchy effect, which I really like about this cardigan. I also find that when I do have it undone, it's not like there's so much extra room that I would want to size down or anything like that. I do think that the true to size description makes sense for this one. I love the actual like knit pattern on this cardigan too. I love how open it is and how much detail and patterning there really is, especially in an outfit like this where the cardigan is a very dark color and then I've layered something very light and pastel underneath, so you can really see the actual pattern defined, especially if I lay it out like that. Like you can see that, and that looks so cool. I also like, again, because it is more like open with the knit, this one's going to be a little bit more breathable, and you could probably wear this into spring pretty easily because it is going to let a lot of air flow through, and you're not going to get too overheated. Also, I love the little like floaty lace hem that goes around the back. It is slightly cropped in the cut, but not terribly so. The cardigan is 100% acrylic for this one, which for a knit cardigan, that does make sense. So yeah, so this one is a fully synthetic because it is 100% acrylic for this one. Great question, Jane, thank you. All right, so again, this is the Be Our Guest knit cardigan in black. Sizes small through 3X for this one, including both an extra large and a 1X. And we all took our typical sizes for this one. It is true to size with a slightly relaxed fit, but intended, and I would recommend going with your true size for this one. And again, it's retailing for $72. Okay, perfect. I'm going to hang this up and then we'll talk about this gorgeous yellow top underneath. The color for this top is described as banana, and it is the absolute most perfect color description ever. This is exactly the color I think of when I think banana, especially like banana candy. Like, do you remember those like chewy banana things that always used to be thrown as parade candy? And they were in like little wrappers. They were texture-wise kind of like Starburst, but they were specifically only banana, and I never found them anywhere like in the store or anything. It was only ever at like parades was where I would find them. Maybe this was like a late 90s thing and they're not really a thing anymore. Oh, no problem, Jane. That is why I am here. So this is the Lynn long sleeve top in banana, as I mentioned. This one's retailing for $32 and it's available in sizes small through 3X. True to size for this one, we all wear our typical sizes. So that is Christine in the small, Carrie in the medium, Melissa is in the 1X, and I am in my usual 3X for these ones. If I go back, the material on this one is a poly spandex blend. It does feel like a pretty typical like jersey knit poly. If I pull down the sleeve length is pretty good on these. I always do this and you can't see my wrist anyways. They're like, when I stretch out my arms, you can see that it's like maybe an inch away from actually reaching to the bottom of my wrist. But once again, I am very tall. I'm 6'1", so that is just kind of my lot in life, and my habit anyways is to pull up the sleeves. And I do like that these sleeves, they're fitted, but they're not tight. There's still a lot of stretch, so they're very comfortable, and they still have enough kind of, I don't want to say compression because it's not compressive, but they do form back enough that I can pull it up my forearm and it's going to stay in place. It doesn't feel like it's going to roll down. It also doesn't feel like it's going to get like stretch out and get wonky from being sitting on my forearm either. It's just going to sit where I want it to and stay in place, which is great. Much like the striped top that we had launching on Tuesday, the length on this one is really nice. It's not quite as long. This one doesn't fully cover my butt like the striped top from the Tuesday drop did, but it's pretty close. So this one's definitely on the longer side in terms of length. We can see it does have a scoop on the side, not as dramatic as the striped top, but there is still a little bit of that scalloping. And then in terms of front and back, they're pretty even. It's maybe like a hair's bit longer in the back than the front, but it is pretty even throughout. And again, the color being described as banana is absolutely perfect. This is exactly the color I think of when I think of banana, which are my favorite fruits. I absolutely adore bananas. So again, this is the Lynn long sleeve top in the shade banana. This one's retailing for $32, sizes small to 3X, and everyone is wearing their typical size. We describe it as true to size. I am in my usual 3X for this one. And then finally, we have the shorts that I am wearing. I will get to these ones here, and I will tie up the top so we can see them a little bit better. I saw someone had mentioned, I believe it was either in a comment on the Monday Night Live or afterwards, about how genius it is that these shorts have 2 buttons, which is so smart, so that if you have, you know, days where you're having a skinny day and you're like, wow, like I'm feeling really like fit and fresh today, and then you have days where it's like, oh, like maybe it's that time of the month for you where you just like something's not sitting right and you're a little more bloated and you're like, oh, I need to, you know, let her out a little bit. Having 2 options for the buttons is absolutely fantastic. So these are the Judy Blue Destroyed Dad shorts, aka the Maxen. M-A-C-S-E-N. That is a name I've never heard before. The Maxen. So these ones are retailing for $72, and they are available in the typical Judy Blue letter sizing for shorts, which is sizes small through 3X, and that includes both an extra large and a 1X. So for sizing for these ones, everybody found that, so these ones were kind of like in between for me, because everyone else sized up a bit. So Christine went for the medium, Carrie's in the large, Melissa went with her usual 1X, however, and then I am wearing the 2X right now, but it's very borderline for me. So I do, and I'm on the, I guess like looser, I don't know why I did this, it is literally looser, it's not like a, but so we can see that there's the 2 button options. I am on the wider one, and they're maybe a tiny bit tight in the waist. They are giving me a little bit of a muffin top, but part of that is also just because of where they're sitting on my waist as well. But because they are a dad cut short, I found that when I was wearing the 3X, even with the 2X, there's more fabric kind of in this hip area. And then if I turn around to the back, especially in the booty, there's a bit more fabric than I would like. I find that they kind of fall off of me in a way, like I wish they were a little bit tighter around the booty. Again, part of that is just the cut, and I prefer a little bit of a tighter cut for my shorts, but I did find with the 3X that there was just way too much extra fabric kind of in the side and the back here. So I did find that waist-wise, the 3X was more comfortable. I found I put the 3X on, and I put it on because again, it's got the kind of option here. I did actually suck it in to the, now this is definitely too tight if I put the smaller button on in the 2X. But with the 3X, with the smaller button, they fit better in the waist, but then I just had too much going on in terms of everywhere else in the short. Whereas now with these ones, in the 2X, even on the looser button, I find it is maybe a little bit snug in the waist, but the rest of the short is fitting a lot better. So I'm kind of in between. I can wear the 2X or the 3X. I prefer the waist fit of the 3X, but I prefer the hip and thigh fit of the 2X. That's kind of a long explanation, but just again, for my specific body, that's just how it works for me. This is something I have always, well, not always, but especially recently since I've lost a bit of weight and I've moved into more consistently an 18 as a 20, I find that extra fabric in like this hip area is something that I have to deal with. And that's just based on my specific body shape. That has nothing to do with the way Judy Blues or any, because it's any pants, not just Judy Blues, but just something to mention for like my specific body shape. If you do have more of like a straight or even an apple, because I do have a bit of that apron belly or V belly. If you have more of an apple shape, that might be something for you to be aware of as well. But anyways, for some of the more details on these shorts, again, they're retailing for $72, and as we can see, they're definitely pretty heavily distressed in the front here. We've got lots of little scrapes and scuffs on the front pocket areas here, both within the pocket here and like on the front. We do have a lot of fraying happening on the front of the thigh. I love when shorts do this, where they're more frayed and kind of come up a little bit higher in the front and then have a little bit more coverage in the back, because again, I love showing off my legs. I like showing off the front of my thighs, but when it gets a little bit too low in the back, sometimes it can be a little scandalous. Plus, I like when they leave a little bit more of an inseam in the back here so that you don't get the chub rub, as I love calling it. And I do find that I like that these kind of come up a little bit, but there is still enough of an inseam here that I wouldn't have to worry about having to use a friction stick or anything if I was out walking. These are long enough that they're still going to keep me covered, and I'm not going to end up like chafing on my inner thigh as I wear them, which is perfect. That is the best of both worlds, in my opinion. If we turn to the back, we can see less distressing. There is still the frayed hem on the back, but it's not quite as like chewed up and destroyed and stringy as it is in the front. And then just a few little nicks and gashes on the back, but not as much stressing as there is on the front of the like pockets and stuff here. So again, oops, these are the Maxons, aka the Judy Blue Destroyed Dad Shorts. These ones are retailing for $72, sizes small through 3X. Most of us did a size up one. I'm right in the middle because I have been sizing down to a 2X recently in Judy Blues, kind of at the same time as like when I started sizing down from a 20 to an 18. And I find with these ones, I'm right on the cusp. I prefer the waist of the 3X, but I prefer the actual like hip and thigh fit of the 2X. So if you are someone who carries more of your weight in your hips, I think you'd be okay with your regular size, but if you are someone limited by your waist measurement like me, you'd probably want to consider going with the larger of your two Judy Blue sizes. All right, so that is everything for the Thursday daily drop. I'm just double checking. I don't believe I have anything for Friday, but we will confirm. No, so Friday we have a denim jacket evening launch happening as well, but those only come small to extra large by the looks of it. So we are skipping Friday and moving right on to Saturday. We have a launch we have a top launching, and then we have a jean launch, and these are the ones I've posted sneak peeks of these. Christine's posted sneak peeks of these, and we've both received a ton of comments on the Insiders group about these jeans. So these are the long black boot cuts. Well, I say long. So they're really cool. So we have the black boot cuts, and they come in 3 different lengths, which I think is amazing. We're so happy that they decided to do this, especially with something like a boot cut where the length really matters in the fit of the jean. And so we have them in short, regular, and long, and I'm sure you can all guess which one I ended up using. It's the long, and these ones are actually the right length for me. I'm over the moon. So I'm gonna go put those, they're called the spikes. I'm gonna go put them on and the top that are launching on Saturday, and I will be right back. I am absolutely obsessed with these jeans, because sometimes even with Judy Blue, I find when they describe something as a long, they're still not quite long enough for me. And this is something that has been true my whole life, because I find that a lot of the times long is like between 30 and 32 inches, which when, you know, you're a tall girl, usually most people think tall is meaning like, you know, 5'8", 5'9", but when you're over 6 feet like I am, tall is and long is a little bit more than just like a little above average. And so this is something I've struggled with my whole life, because I have been very tall my whole life. I've been this height since I was like 13 years old. My junior high volleyball coaches loved me, of course. But it's something like I've never really had a good time finding jeans that were long enough. And so, and the other thing that I struggle with as being someone who's plus size and really tall is that I can find plus size stores, I can find tall stores, but a lot of like Long Tall Sally, which isn't even in Canada anymore, and other like American Tall or Tall Girl never catered to plus size, so I couldn't shop there anyways. Torrid did offer different lengths. Of course, Torrid wasn't physically in Canada until I was already in university, so that didn't really help me in high school. But yeah, but even then, like the extra talls for Torrid were kind of online only, where I had to specially order them into the stores. So getting jeans has been a struggle forever and ever, as being someone who is both plus size and tall. So to have these jeans and actually have them be long enough right off the hop is like pretty stellar news for me. And so if there's anyone else who finds that sometimes even the longs from Judy Blue aren't long enough, these ones, at least for me, absolutely are. The long jackets are small to large. I think they're small to large or small to extra large maybe. Those ones are launching on Friday. Let me double check. Yeah, the jean jackets, 4 variants. They go small, medium, large, and extra large green. So no plus for the denim jackets launching Friday night. Okay. 23? No. Maybe. 22. I was like, what day is Saturday again? It's the 22nd. All right, so I have the t-shirt on, and then I also have my size in the jeans. I will go over the t-shirt first. So the Saturday launches launch at 1 p.m. as well. So this top and then all of the different jeans will be launching at 1 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time on Saturday. You have a 30. Oh my God, absolutely, Jane. And that's a whole other thing too, is if you've got a long leg and you're petite, a lot of the times it's really hard too. Thank you, Jade. Yeah, this one's really cute. It's a good one. I'll talk about the top quickly, and then I'll tuck it up so that we can see the jeans, because these just fit size Michelle. Like, these look like they were made for my body. So this top is the Zero to Hero striped tee in cream and black. This one's retailing for $42, and it is available in sizes small through 3X. This one is true to size. We all wore our typical sizes in this one. So Christine in the small, Carrie's in the medium, Melissa took the 1X, and I'm in my usual 3X. This is the same material that was on the hoodie that is launching today. So it's predominantly like vertically ribbed, but it does have a little bit of like a horizontalness to the ribbing as well. And it has kind of almost like a crinkly effect, if that makes sense. It's kind of like if you took the hooded tee and the striped t-shirt from Tuesday and like mashed them together, that's what you get here. Still striped tee, it has the same V-neck kind of cut. Sleeves are a little bit shorter, length's a little bit shorter, but then it's the same fabric as that hoodie. The other thing too is with this one is that it has the raw serging here on the edge of the neckline. It also has that same trim on the edge of the sleeve here with the raw serging, and then it has this little panel on the sleeve that gives that kind of sporty, like baseball tee almost vibe, where you can see it, that it has that raw serged hem. No, you haven't, Linda. You have great timing. I'm just talking about the t-shirt first, and then we'll be talking about the jeans. Yeah, so if I step back, this one is a little bit more of our like typical t-shirt cut. It's a little bit more slim fitted, but it's not tight by any means. It just doesn't flow out quite as much as the other striped tee we had earlier today. And actually, in terms of length and fit, it's a little bit more similar to the long sleeve in Banana that I just had on. We can see it's got a little bit of the scalloping, not as dramatic as the other striped top. Lengthwise, decently long, definitely longer than average. Not quite tunic length on me, but on people that aren't 6'1", this one might, or if you're shorter in the torso, this one could probably almost be tunic length for you as well. And we can see that it's about the same length front and back. It's not really longer in the back. If it is, it's like maybe a centimeter. So, all right. So again, this is the Zero to Hero striped tee in cream and black. $42 for this one. Size is small through 3X. True to size, I'm in my typical 3X. And now finally for the jeans that a lot of people have been excited for, myself included. I literally, when I tried these on last week, went, oh my God, these jeans are so long. And I could just hear Carrie shout from around the corner. She's like, is it the black boot cuts? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, I know. So they were really excited for me to try these on because they were like, I bet these are actually going to be long enough. I hope that stays. I didn't tie that knot very well, but let's hope that stays. Okay. Let me get my iPad. Nope, that is not going to stay. I'll just kind of like tuck it up like this for now. Okay, so these jeans, these are the spikes. So like I mentioned a little bit earlier, for those just tuning in, these jeans are incredible. I'm so excited because they actually released them in 3 separate lengths. We have short, regular, and long, because I do find sometimes when Judy Blue puts out a pair of jeans and just describes them as long, they're not actually that long. But with these ones, like, they're a centimeter off of touching the floor. Like, these are actually long enough for me, and honestly, because they're kind of gathered at my knee a little bit, they probably could go even a little bit lower. Like, these are actually a boot cut. That is the right length. I think this is the first pair of like boot cut flare anything that I've tried on that's been long enough, other than there's a pair of Risen wide leg cargo jeans that I bought several months back that I wear all the time. It's funny because I forget how long they are, and then sometimes like the bottoms of them will get wet if I wear them out in the winter, and I'm like, I forgot what this is like because this has never been an issue for me. So anyways, again, these are the high-rise tummy control boot cut blacks, aka the spikes. I'm just gonna double check because I think we have every size in every length. I just want to double check, and I believe the price is the same, but again, I want to double check. So I'm looking at the shorts right now, and we have 0 to 15 and then 14 through 22. So we are missing a 24W in the shorts, but other than that, we have every size. $103 for the regulars. We have them in 0 through 15 and then 14 through 22. So I'm wondering, maybe the 24s just weren't available in this cut, because that does happen sometimes. It is being like at the very top of the size range. It is one that doesn't have as much traction sale-wise, so sometimes Judy just doesn't produce them in that size. But we do have every size other than the 24W in the regulars. And then for the longs, same story, yeah. So I don't think they come in a 24 just in general, but we do have 0 through 15 and then 14 through 22W in the longs, and they are $103 for all 3 lengths as well, which is good. I appreciate, like, I understand, as someone who's plus size and someone who's tall, like, I understand it technically takes more fabric and like more costs and materials to make larger clothes, but I really don't like, as a larger person, being penalized for buying essentially the same thing. So I am very appreciative to Judy Blue that the longer ones aren't more expensive. That makes me very, very happy as someone who's used to having to pay a premium to order things extra long. So unfortunately, I don't have the, at least I don't think I do. I don't think I have the, oh, I lied. I do have the inseam information actually. Oh no, I lied, sorry. I saw the word inventory and I just saw the IN and then the number 26 and was like, oh, inseam 26 for the short. That makes sense. But no, unfortunately, I don't have the inseam detail on these, but I'm gonna go ahead and guess that for the longs, these are at minimum a 33.5, probably a 34, because they are like basically touching the floor on me. I feel like they have to be at minimum a 34, which is incredible, because to me, that's a 34 is a long jean. 32.5, that's not a long jean. So I'm very, very excited about these. So for sizing, these are pretty typical, especially to like old Judy's. They fit exactly how I thought they would. I'm wearing my usual 18 and they fit absolutely perfectly. I still have a little bit of stretch in the waist, but I don't feel like they're falling off or anything like that. I'm not having a bunch of extra fabric in the hips. The pockets are sitting nicely where they should. Everything is just flowing really nicely. I don't have any like weird saggy butt stuff happening. Like they fit absolutely size Michelle. I'm in love. We all took our typical sizes for these. So again, Christine is in the 3, Carrie's in the 9, Melissa's in her usual 14, and I am in my typical 18 for these. And then lengthwise, it doesn't actually say what everyone took, but I'm gonna go ahead and assume that Melissa and I both opted for the long, that Christine opted for the short, and then Carrie does have long legs, so I'm not sure if she opted for the regular or the long, but these are absolutely incredible. I know a lot of people are excited for these. I have been, like, when I saw them on the rack, I didn't really think anything of them, but I did think it was interesting that we had different lengths. I thought about trying on the short ones just for, like, silliness sake. I never did, but I feel like it'd be funny because, like, boot cuts are not necessarily a style that works well as, like, an ankle jean, but it could have been funny. But ever since I put these on, I've absolutely been in love with them. I adore them. I'm most likely picking these ones up for myself because they are actually super, super long, and I do appreciate the extra length because, like I mentioned kind of at the start of my spiel about these jeans, boot cut is a cut where they're hard to hem and they're hard to get away with when they're too short because of how particular the shape of the end of the boot cut is. So you can really only hem like an inch or maybe 2 off of them before you kind of lose that proper shape and they just kind of become a little bit more like a slim with a weird flare at the bottom. And again, if a boot cut is too short, it's like the classic like where's the flood joke. That was my life growing up in junior high, unfortunately, because Old Navy's idea of a long jean was not what my body considers a long jean. So I'm thrilled about these jeans. I'm really excited to see them launching. I know a lot of people have been asking. They are absolutely gorgeous. I think that a boot cut was the perfect cut to do the different lengths in, and I also really appreciate that they're all going to be retailing for the same price of $103. They're not penalizing us tall girls for being tall, because I can't help it. I was born this way. I don't have the inseams, unfortunately, Linda. I either need to talk to Sarah and see where it's listed in the iPad, but I have different information than the girls do when they've got their laptops during the live. They, like, because they have like all the backside and like orders and stuff, they can see more than what I can see. So unfortunately, I don't have the links for the regular ones. Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Linda. You can go with your usual 16, and I'm assuming a regular length would be good for you. Really, as long as you're not someone who like really struggles with long jeans, the regular should be just fine. Again, I'm super tall, so these longs actually being long is fantastic news for me, and I am very, very excited about it. I am starting to lose my voice a little bit. Hello. Right, Carolyn, these jeans are seriously size Michelle. I was gobsmacked when I put them on. I'm like, I've never had a pair of jeans fit this perfectly, like right off the rack, length included. That never happens. All right, well, before I lose my voice completely, because I have been yapping without water here for an hour and 15 at this point, I am going to take off. So thank you everyone who joined me. I always appreciate to all my regulars and to also anyone who is new that was maybe just joining in for the first time or second time. For those who don't know, my name is Michelle. Oh, sorry, Linda. They launch Saturday at 1 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. So the same time as like the typical daily drops, but on Saturday. So 1 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. So once again, my name is Michelle. I am the 3X model here at Lavender and Lace Boutique. I go live every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time to try on the Tuesday daily drop and then any of the other plus size pieces that are going to be launching throughout the week. So if that's something you enjoy, if that's something you want to check out, you can find me at the same place you found me right now, on Facebook, on Instagram. And again, I will be back next week at 11 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time to try it all on and do it all again. Perfect. All right. Yes, Renee, the joggers that are launching on Thursday are, they are the Shirley Haley joggers. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Linda. Bye.